This is a story of one of the boldest revolutions in music history, progressive rock. A story of raw ambition, fragile genius, and musicians who put everything, careers, sanity, sometimes even friendships, on the line to build something entirely new. London, Summer of Love. The Beatles release Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band and blow apart the idea of what a rock album could be. A young pianist named Keith Emerson from The Nice listens to it and thinks, what if the next step isn't a song, but a symphony? That same year, John Lodge of the Moody Blues jots in his journal, "We're done making singles. Now we chase infinity." November 10th, 1967. Days of Future Past hits shelves, blending a full orchestra with drums and electric guitar. Critics didn't know whether to file it under pop, classical, or insanity. But as historian Stephen Lambe later wrote, in that moment, a door opened, and behind it was a new world of sound. The fusion of psychedelia, orchestration, and storytelling sparked something irresistible. Young art school musicians across Britain started thinking of albums as canvases rather than collections of hits. October 10th, 1969. King Crimson step onto London's Hyde Park stage to open for the Rolling Stones. Half the crowd has never heard them before. By the end of their set, according to witnesses, the audience stood stunned, mouths open, unwilling to applaud. A few days later, they release In the Court of the Crimson King. Robert Fripp's guitar slices through mellotron choirs, while Greg Lake's voice sings apocalyptic poetry. It's beautiful and terrifying, not radio-friendly, but it sells 100,000 copies in the first few weeks. Fripp later confessed, "I had no plan for success. My plan was survival." Within 6 months, the original lineup had collapsed, burned out by creative friction and exhaustion. Jerry Lucky wrote, "King Crimson's debut was less a starting line than a detonation. Everyone afterward picked up the debris and built cathedrals from it."
Yeah, well, I've always thought of the word progressive as being a very much maligned word, really. I mean, it's bandied about as a sort of art form, progressive music, when it's not necessarily progressive, that is, it's not necessarily moving forward. I feel that our music is kind of progressive. I like the fact that it is a little bit exploratory sometimes. I refer to Crimson as a progressive band, definitely, because that we never knew what we were going to do half the time, we'd say, just improvise. And that, I think, is fairly progressive. But UK doesn't improvise at all, really, only in individual solos and things. So we're a little bit more stylized than King Crimson was. Crimson had that sort of anarchy on stage, if you like.
My lost friend is smiling from above, smiling at my tears. Come, we'll walk the path to take us to my home.
In 1970, 5 grammar school musicians rehearse endlessly in a chilly farmhouse outside London. They call themselves Genesis. Their leader, Peter Gabriel, suffers crippling stage fright yet dreams of theatrical storytelling. He creates personas, slippermen, prophets, angels, to face the crowd without being himself. Gabriel kept a notebook filled with dream sequences and nightmares. Trauma from his strict boarding school years surfaces in surreal lyrics. Repression, transformation, escape. Bandmate Tony Banks once said, "Peter wasn't playing characters, he was purging them." Recording Foxtrot in 1972, the band battled lack of money and studio heat outages, They literally recorded takes in coats. But when Supper's Ready emerged, 23 minutes of biblical imagery and shifting time signatures, Genesis became mythmakers. Stephen Lamba observed, "Prog's power lay not merely in its instrumentation, but in its emotional architecture. It was art therapy on vinyl." If Genesis sought narrative, Yes pursued pure sound. John Anderson, son of a Lancashire coal miner, had synesthesia. He claimed to see music in colors. He wanted songs to flow like waterfalls between harmony and chaos.
Where do you come from?
London.
My mother.
Yeah, we all live in London, yeah.
Yes, we all live in London.
The group has been formed in London?
That's right.
Originally, yeah.
1 year ago.
From the Shas to the Big Apple. That's what I say. Here we are.
You are the first British pop group exclusively booked by a major American record company. Do you think it's a good deal, or how do you feel about it?
Yes, we're very, very happy about the deal. We just think that the thing we'd like to get most of all from Atlantic Records is possibly their expert knowledge of the American market.
True. Every true word spoken.
You're dead right.
I'll drink to that.
Do you think you're fortunate to be in the USA or in Europe?
All over, everywhere.
I'd like to play in Russia, actually. I'd like to play in Russia. Is it nice to play in Russia? Because Russia and China, because I don't think they have anything of that over there, do they, in Russia? I think it'd be good for a group to go and play in Russia.
Kids hear the music there, but they never see any bands or anything. It'd be great to play there, you know. Somewhere like Moscow,
We'd
you
just
know.
like to go everywhere and just play our music and hope we turn a few people on at the same time.
During the recording of Close to the Edge, released September 13th, 1972, the band spent nearly 3 months perfecting 20 minutes of music. Producer Eddie Offord recalled, "You'd hear the tape hiss, flip it over, and there's another 20 minutes of them arguing about one bar. Chris Squires, bass strings constantly snapped. Bill Bruford slept under the mixing desk between takes. Yet when finished, the album turned rock into a symphonic odyssey. Movements, reprises, and an ecstatic finale that critics compared to Mahler. Jerry Lucky called it the high watermark of studio as instrument, obsession, not accident, carved into tape."
Tread the road, cross the abyss, take a look down at the madness. On the streets of the city, only specters still have pity. Patient queues for the gallows.
Meanwhile, Keith Emerson found his partners. Greg Lake from King Crimson, Carl Palmer from Atomic Rooster. They debuted August 29th, 1970, at the Isle of Wight Festival before 600,000 people.
Usually when I write lyrics, I don't really have in mind a point to put across. It's more the words themselves that feel like one after the other, you know? It's not so much an importance that because I don't have any political points to put across, you know? It's just emotions, feelings. That's what I'm interested in.
ELP epitomized rock spectacle, spinning pianos, Moog synthesizer solos, pyrotechnics that sometimes set curtains aflame. But behind the bravado was near psychotic discipline. Emerson practiced 12 hours a day, haunted by fear of mediocrity. Recording Tarkus in early 1971, He stayed awake for 50 hours, rewriting a 7-part suite about a tank armadillo hybrid. Critics laughed it off until it hit #1 in the UK. Carl Palmer later said, "We went from pubs to philharmonics. Suddenly we were classical without a license." (1972 to 1973), London's Abbey Road Studios. Pink Floyd are exhausted from endless touring, haunted by the collapse of founding member Syd Barrett. His mental decline, fueled by LSD and pressure, became the ghost haunting their sessions. Roger Waters remembers, "Every note we played was an argument with Syd's absence." During the Dark Side of the Moon sessions, the band experimented relentlessly, recording clocks, heartbeat loops, and random voice interviews with staff. Engineer Alan Parsons used 16-track tape to stitch everything into seamless flow. Released March 1st, 1973, the album spent 724 weeks on Billboard and defined the concept album format. Nick Mason later said, "We weren't aiming for immortality. We just wanted the thing to make sense. One idea feeding another until it felt whole." By mid-1973, prog was international. In Italy, Premiata Forneria Marconi fused Mediterranean melodies with British structure. Le Orme filled concert halls with orchestral keyboards. In Germany, Kahn and Faust crafted hypnotic, minimalist, motoric grooves. In Canada, a young trio called Rush studied Fragile and Tarkus obsessively, adapting complexity to hard rock power. Writer Dwight Robinson summarized, "Prog was contagion. Each region caught it and reinvented it in its own language." Trivia: Rush drummer Neil Peart quit college after reading philosopher Ayn Rand. He later admitted feeling alienated but free, an attitude that infused 2112 in 1976, a prog manifesto disguised as space opera. By 1974, the genre's fame bordered on fatigue. Yes released the triple album Tales from Topographic Oceans, December 7, 1973, inspired by a footnote from the Hindu Shastric scriptures. The sessions nearly broke the band. Rick Wakeman quit mid-tour after an infamous on-stage outburst, eating a curry while playing keyboards during his solo on The Journey. He later said, "I was furious and starving. Might as well do both." That same year, King Crimson released Red, featuring John Wetton's thunderous bass and the haunting Starless. Then Fripp abruptly disbanded the group. He spent months in spiritual retreat at Sherborne House, studying philosopher J.G. Bennett. 1975 saw turmoil. Pink Floyd recording Wish You Were Here, Peter Gabriel battling insomnia, and leaving Genesis. During one The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway session, Gabriel learned his newborn was gravely ill. He spent nights commuting between hospital and studio. Years later, he said, "That album isn't fantasy. It's me trying not to break." By 1977, the counter-revolution had arrived. The Sex Pistols screamed "No future," while Pink Floyd built literal walls. Johnny Rotten called Emerson Lake and Palmer dinosaurs in capes. Critic Lester Bangs accused prog of turning rebellion into a recital hall. On May 7, 1977, Yes played the Houston Summit with lasers visible miles away. That same night, The Clash performed a $3 concert in Camden. The future had changed sides. Gabriel released Salisbury Hill in 1977, reinventing himself. Fripp reemerged with Brian Eno, birthing ambient music, and punk guitarist Steve Jones later admitted, "Even while we mocked them, we secretly listened. Those chords sounded like planets colliding." In 1981, King Crimson returned with Discipline. Yes reinvented themselves with Owner of a Lonely Heart, 1983, scoring a #1 hit. Rush refined complexity on Moving Pictures, 1981. By the mid-80s, neo-prog bands like Marillion and IQ revived the heritage, embracing emotional storytelling over virtuoso display. Analysts concluded that progressive rock was less a genre than a philosophy, a belief that music could always evolve past its own limits. Behind the flourishes and fretboards were fragile lives. Keith Emerson suffered chronic nerve damage. Depression finally claimed him in 2016. Greg Lake battled cancer for years, writing, "What we built was fleeting but magnificent." Robert Fripp retreated to teach his guitar craft seminars, blending musical discipline with mindfulness. Peter Gabriel founded WOMAD in 1982, channeling prog's borderless spirit into world music activism. John Anderson built solar-powered studios and painted daily to see the music I can't yet hear. Stephen Lamba noted, "These artists redefined success as transcendence. Charts were trivial, expression was everything." Today, prog's fingerprints are everywhere. Tools lateralis mirrors Fibonacci spirals. Radiohead's OK Computer could pass for a lost Pink Floyd script. Even hip-hop producers sample mellotron choirs for emotional color. As analysts wrote, prog never vanished. It dissolved into the bloodstream of modern music. Jerry Lucky summed it best. Progressive rock was never about showing off. It was about showing what could be done when you stopped asking permission. And Stephen Lamba offered the last word. Those records remind us that imagination and risk are the same muscle. Exercise it or lose it. That's the story of how a handful of dreamers rewrote the rules of rock. They failed spectacularly, succeeded immortally, and left behind proof that sound itself can think. Progressive rock began as rebellion, evolved into revelation, and still whispers to every artist who dares to ask, "What if we went further?"